Hey everyone, this is Martha Hedgehog with my June 2015 reading wrap-up. I am going to try to do something different-ish with these videos. I'm going to try to actually give reading statistics at the end of each month. How many books I read, not only how many books I've read, but how many pages I read in that month. How many got so many stars and things like that, just because it could be kind of fun, and I'm actually going to start keeping track of books and things, keeping track of my reading progress and stuff throughout the years, beyond just my Goodreads reading challenge, just because it could be kind of fun. So we're going to try this. So in total, as of filming this video, I've only read 6 books total this month, but by the time it goes up, I will have read 7, so we're going to say that I've read 7. So, I read 7 books in the month of June. In total, that was 2,400 pages. Out of those books, I had one strawberry read, three strawberry reads, one 4 strawberry read, and 2 5 strawberry reads. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into describing these books, and as usual, my links to my reviews on my blog will be left below in the little bar or whatever it's called, the doodly-doo. I know that's what a lot of people are calling it now. So they will be linked down below so you can read longer things about what I thought about these books. So the first book I read in June was Pandemonium by Lauren Oliver, the second book in the Delirium trilogy. This is a young adult dystopian. I gave it 3 out of 5 strawberries, and this picks up shortly after Delirium, and it is told in 2 different time zones. That's not the word I'm looking for. Timelines, then and now. Then picks up right where Delirium left off, where Lena has escaped into the wilds, and she and Alex have been separated, and as far as she knows, Alex is dead. And then now picks up, I think, a couple of months after she has been in the wilds, when she has made contact with some invalids and has joined them, and is now in New York, which is one of the cured areas, and is doing some infiltration, and she is supposed to get close to this one young man named Julian, but when they are thrown together due to some outside circumstances, she ends up getting a lot closer to her target than she's really supposed to, and then things get very complicated. I still really like the writing style of the series. It's simple, but it's very lyrical, and Lauren Oliver has a great writing style, and she has a really nice way of writing very, I'm blanking on words today because I'm so tired. A very, very graphic way of writing, I guess you could say, very poetic and very evocative. It's very evocative and emotional and stuff, and I really like that. I still like Lena, but what irritated me about this book was the romance, and I knew it was going to come, and I was dreading it, and I dreaded it for a very good reason. I like Alex and Lena together. I love their romance in the first book, Delirium. I like Julian in this, but I hate their romance. I felt sorry for Julian because he doesn't really have a clue what's going on emotionally with Lena. He doesn't know about Alex or anything. And I hated Lena because her attachment to Julian was very shallow. It was all about, she needed to be physically close with someone to get over her grief with Alex, so she was using Julian to get close physically, but she was saying that she loved him, but she was also confused because she still had feelings for Alex, and she was just confused and befuddled, and I hated it. I really hated it, and now I'm very much dreading the third book because I just am. Aside from the romance, the plot in this was good and interesting, and it developed the way a second book should, and there were a lot of really good side characters and new characters and things. I just really, really, really hated the romance in it a lot. So 3 out of 5 strawberries for Pandemonium. I hope the second book is better. After that, I picked up my book club read for the month, and this is actually the reason I've only read 7 books this month, and that was Immortal Beloved by Kate Tiernan, the first book in the Immortals trilogy. This is young adult paranormal fantasy romance. I gave it 1 out of 5 strawberries. In fact, on my blog, it got the Special Awfulness Award. This follows a 400 or 600 plus year old immortal named Nastasia, who is still a teenager, because immortals take forever to age, and she's stuck at the teen years, essentially. She's been around for a lot of years. She has been through wars and pestilence and plague, and she's lost everyone she's loved. She's been married. She's had kids. She's seen her kids age and die. She's seen everything, and yet Nastasia still manages to have this very, very, very annoying, naive, jerky, selfish teenage attitude. You can already tell what my thoughts were on this book. So Nastasia is hanging out, being this party drug chick in London. I think it was in London, with a bunch of other immortal teenage idiots. And then suddenly her friend, Inocencio, does the unthinkable and uses his immortal magic to snap the spine of this cabbie just for the fun of it. And apparently this behavior is totally not like him, even though as soon as the reader meets him, they can tell he's a creep. So Nastasia decides to abandon her friends and goes to this rehab for immortals, I guess you could call it, in the middle of nowhere in America. And the story then boils down to housework, Nastasia drooling over the Viking god, the hot guy in the book, Rain, and some bitch fights, because there's this other girl, Nell, who likes Rain and is upset that Nastasia seems to be getting his attention, and so, yeah, jealousy ensues. And then there's something about this weird mark, this scar that Nastasia has on the back of her neck, but who cares about that? That's not as interesting as housework or this stupid romance between Rain and Nastasia. The only thing I liked about this book was the end, because it meant that I was finally done. This book, there was nothing I liked about it. The writing was not good at all. It was very poor writing. I did not like a single one of the characters at all, and I tried to like some of the side characters because I was desperate, but I couldn't like them. The plotline dragged, it was boring. This had a great concept. Immortals are always interesting and stuff, but Nastasia was whiny. The magic system in it made no sense whatsoever. The magic system is not explained, and any potential of there being interesting things developing are just skipped over for more household chores and hearing Nastasia complain about the household chores and Nell doing jealous things, but no one would ever suspect Nell of trying to sabotage Nastasia because that's just ridiculous. And then Nastasia oogling Rain, and one of my friends said that he's never read a book with so many shirtless guys in it, and he was totally right. This has a lot of shirtless guys, including guys who have their shirts on but somehow manage to be shirtless at the same time. If you read it, you'll understand. I hated this book a lot. I would say it's just, just not for me, but I'm sorry. I thought the writing was bad. I thought the characters were all annoying. So 1 out of 5 strawberries, I did not enjoy it at all. That put me in a reading funk, but I already knew what I was going to pick up right after that, so as soon as I was done with that book, I picked up Undertow by Michael Buckley. This is a semi-new release. It came out in May, I think, beginning of May. This is young adult fantasy, I guess you could call it. It's kind of urban. It's urban fantasy, I guess. And what did I give it? I gave it 4 out of 5 strawberries. It was a very good book. And it takes place in the 21st century on Coney Island, and within the span of one night, our lives have completely changed because these sea people called the Alpha have suddenly risen out of the sea and come onto Coney Island, and no one has ever seen them before. They're this strange, warlike race, and what first begins as curiosity quickly boils down into hostility, and the Alpha are confined in a tent on the beaches of Coney Island, and there's hatred and fear and suspicion everywhere. And then the government decides to try to integrate Alpha teenagers into the local school system, and our protagonist, whose name I am totally blanking on, I know I will remember it in a second, Lyric Walker. She's tapped on the shoulder to kind of befriend the Alpha Prince, Fathom, and teach him about the human world and kind of help the integration process But there's two problems. One, there's a group called the Niners who will murder humans who try to befriend the Alpha. So she's essentially got a big target painted on her back for that. And also, Lyric really doesn't have a choice because she has a secret about her family that is being used against her, that if she does not go along with what the government says, then they will expose her family for what they are. Um, this book has been heralded as, a very relevant book for our times. And I'm always very hesitant about books that are marketed that way because usually it's code for we got a lot of personal opinions we're going to shove down your throat. And I don't like books like that. I don't mind books that, discuss important issues and stuff, but I don't like it when it feels like it's being shoved down my throat, and I do not like one-sided books at all. This did not do that. It addressed a lot of very interesting, very thought-provoking, very controversial topics, but it didn't pick sides. It presented both sides, which was very good, and it also didn't sacrifice storyline in the process of discussing these issues. The characters were extremely likable and very well developed, and the writing style was incredible. Michael Buckley, I've always liked his writing, but I don't think his writing ever got its full potential until this book. I mean, it is a very atmospheric, emotional story, and I mean, from the very first page, this dark, mysterious atmosphere is set up, and it was just really good and incredible. And the Alpha were very interesting. They're not really mermaids. They're totally different. But it was cool. It was really good. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I actually did end up liking this book. It was really good. So 4 out of 5 strawberries. I really liked Undertow. It was exactly what I needed to read after Immortal Beloved. After that, I just wanted something quick to read, go down nostalgia lane, so I picked up River Quest by John Vornholt. This is the second book in the Dinotopia paperback series. Middle grade adventure neo-Victorian series, and I gave this 3 out of 5 strawberries. I read these books a lot as a kid, and so I got them all now, so I'm just, reading them for the fun of it now and then when I just need a quick breather, something I don't need to review, I don't need to think about, I just want to read it. And this follows a 13-year-old girl named Marigold, I think her name was. Yeah, Marigold. Magnolia. And her Saurian partner, Paddlefoot, and they are the apprentices to the, I think it's the freshwater habitat partners. They essentially keep an eye on all the freshwater sources in Dinotopia and make sure the rivers aren't drying up or being diverted or anything like that. But then her master ends up being injured and she has to take over for him, and something is drying up the main river in Dinotopia that supplies the water to Waterfall City and everything, and if it's gone, then that pretty much will destroy life on Dinotopia. So she and Paddlefoot have to figure out what's causing this. It was a lot of fun reading this again, and brought back a lot of memories like they always do, and it was a fun adventure. These are great kids books, like Jules Verne for kids. They're great. I enjoyed it. After that, there was a book I couldn't put off reading anymore because it's been on my TBR for a really long time. So I picked it up, and that is Slaves of Socorro by John Flanagan, the 4th book in the Brother Band Chronicles. This, I think it's still kind of considered middle grade, but it straddles middle grade and YA. Adventure. It's adventure. I have a hard time coining these books as fantasy because there's no magic in them, so we'll just say it's adventure. I gave this 3 out of 5 strawberries, and this picks up, I think, a few months, maybe a year after the last Brother Band Chronicles. The Heron Brother Band has defeated the Pirate Lord Zavek and brought back the Andamel to Scandia, and they are in a position of honor now, and they're respected by their community. But life is getting a little boring now because there's not any more adventures, and they all miss, the adventures and the unknown and the long voyages. So then they get tapped on the shoulder to go to do a year-long mission in Auralian to serve as the diplomatic ship between Scandia and Auralian. And while they're there, they run into an old nemesis whose name I'm forgetting again because I'm bad at names apparently today. Turskud, who was one of the brother bands that they competed against, and now he has turned rogue and is a pirate, and he has been plundering the coast of Rallian, and he has recently attacked a village near where they're stationed and taken a bunch of Rallians as slaves. So Hal and his crew are off to Socorro to get them back before they're sold into slavery. Um, my opinion of the characters has stayed consistent. I like them. There's not a lot of character development, but I like them. There's nothing especially dislikable about them. Lydia, I still wish was a 14, a 12-year-old boy instead of a girl because she she's not she's not horribly annoying. She's not useless, and she doesn't really have an attitude. But now and then, it's just kind of like really um, she's a little emotional, and it's kind of annoying. And I just keep getting this horrible feeling that there's going to be a love triangle between her, Hal, and Stig. And I like the brotherhood between Hal and Stig, and I really don't want them fighting over a girl. I would be really upset, especially Lydia, who I'm meh about her. She would have been better as a 12-year-old boy. The plot itself was good. The main problem with this book is look how thick it is. The majority of it is more brother band training, trying to hone their inventions, make them more effective, and coming up with impossible plans that would only work for them, and then pulling them off and being successful. I love impossible plans and a small band going up against great odds and succeeding, but it would be kind of nice if for once one of their impossible plans actually failed, just to be interesting. And I'm really, really, really tired of all the training. I know how their big crossbow on their ship works. I know how the ship works. I know how it all works. I know how Lydia's weapon works. Can we please just skip all of that and get back into the action? I was, however, very, very pleased that Gillen was in this one. I really like Gillen. He's cool, and it was nice seeing him back in action and stuff. He actually wasn't in it nearly enough. But yeah, so 3 out of 5 strawberries. It was good, but I would like to see more development and progress so we'll see how the 5th one is. After that, I wanted something quick to read, and I didn't have a lot of books on my TBR that were going to be quick to read, so I picked up the shortest one I could, and that is Prisoner B3087 by Alan Gratz. This is young adult historical fiction / nonfiction, because it is a Holocaust novel based heavily based off a real story, but it had to be cataloged as fiction because the author had to not change he kind of changed a few things just so he could include more in the book. And it is written as a novel. This was my 5 out of 5 strawberry read. It is hard giving a Holocaust novel anything below 4 strawberries, because it's about the Holocaust, it's about World War II. It's nearly impossible to do that. But this was really, really good. It tells the true story of Yannick Gruner. I'm sure I pronounced that incorrectly. Jewish Pole during the Nazi occupation of Poland, and it just follows his story through the Holocaust, his surviving the ghetto, and then I think it was 9 different concentration camps that he went through, and it was incredible. I was at first thrown off because this is a YA book, but the writing is extremely simplistic, and it almost reads like a middle grade novel. But it's one of the darkest. They're all dark. It's one of the most starkly written, blunt Holocaust novels I've ever read. I mean, the author does not soften anything about it. He's just very blunt and honest about everything that happened, and it was a hard book to read, and I was kind of like, why did I pick this up when the weather is so sunny and beautiful and hot out? It was contradictory, but at the same time, it kind of added an interesting aspect of, I guess, irony. So yeah, this was not it was a very quick read, but not a light read, obviously, because it was true story and about the Holocaust and just very, very brutal and hard, but I enjoy reading books about the Holocaust because I think it's very important to remember, not just, because we should remember the people who died and survived it, but we also need to remember so it doesn't happen again. Um, but yeah, it was very, very good. 5 out of 5 strawberries. Definitely a great book. And after that, I picked up another book I've been dying to pick up that's been on quite a few TBRs, and that is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, the first book in, I think it's just called the Darker Shade of Magic series. I am actually still, as of recording this, I'm still reading it. I am more than halfway through, so by the time you guys see this video, I will be done with it. And this is an adult, alternate reality / fantasy book. And I'm already going to call the rating. This is going to get 5 out of 5 strawberries. I was swept away from the very first story, the very first line. And excuse me while I try to sum this up, it's going to be a little difficult. But it takes place in a world where there are 4 different Londons. There is Red London, there is Grey London, there is White London, and then there is Black London. Our protagonist, Kel, is from Red London originally, and he is an Advanti magician, a blood magician, which means that he can travel between all these different realities. And his job is to relay messages between the different monarchs of the realities. Because something happened a long time ago involving Black London, where before all the 4 Londons were connected through magic gates, anyone could travel between them, but then something happened with Black London, and those doors were closed, and now only the Avanti can travel through them. But the monarchs still want to keep in touch, so he's a messenger. Kel's also a bit of a smuggler. He will smuggle things between the worlds because he likes collecting artifacts from them for some reason that I don't think I've gotten to yet entirely. And it's a highly, highly illegal thing that he's doing. And then one day he accidentally smuggles an item that should not exist and definitely should not have been smuggled through, and he is forced to flee to Grey London, which is our London, during the Georgian era. And now people are after him, and he has to return the artifact to where it originally came from, which, spoiler, Black London, if you haven't figured that out. And so now he's on a mission with a pickpocket named Lila from Grey London to return it. This book, oh, it's so good. I like all of V.E. Schwab's books that I've read so far. Victoria Schwab is how she's known in the YA community. And this one may actually be my favorite. It's written in third person past tense, which is new for me. She usually writes books in first person. Or not first person, for present tense. She's one of the few authors that writes present tense I love. But this is past tense, and just, it's so good. The concept, the realities are really awesome, and the magic system is really awesome, and the characters are really awesome. All of them so far. I love them all. And the writing style is just really, 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 really good. It's a dark story, but there's this undertone of humor to it as well. And just, I'm loving it so, so, so much. I know a lot of people, some people, I shouldn't say a lot, some people kind of complained that it was slow in the beginning, but I liked it. There's a lot of world building. It's a complicated world to set up, and she sets it up so well. And there's tons of characters to set up, too. And I'm just loving it, and I know that I'm going to love the rest of it. So I'm calling the rating right now 5 out of 5 strawberries. You won't get this review until July, obviously, because that's when I can post it on my blog. But I'll leave the link down below. I will update the link list once the review is up. But yeah, this is totally worth all the hype and the praise it's getting. It's wonderful. I love it so much. So, let's see if I can hold them up. I should be able to. These are the 7 books I read in June. It was a pretty slow reading month, mostly because I was bogged down by a certain book that I will not name again. But I will see you guys with my July TBR, which should be really fun, because I'm actually going to put some thought into it. Until then, hope you guys are having fun summer, June reading. Bye.